Hey guys, so I know this lighting situation is not great, but you're kind of balanced in my cupboard right now because I'm going to do a book review slash cook review. I don't know, this is something different, but I wanted to do a book review for, let me pick it up here, This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousins, and she actually includes a recipe in the back of the book that I'm going to be following along this afternoon. It is a steak and ale pie, and that kind of ties into this book. She runs a pie company, so when I was reading this book and they were talking about the steak and ale pie specifically, I really wanted it, and it just so happens that she had the recipes in the back, which I'm really excited about. So I'm going to do a book review, and I'm also going to be making the steak and ale pie, which you can't really see me working, unfortunately, just because of the way the camera is, but I will show you a finished product when I'm done. But this pie does take a long time. This is a book that takes place in London, which I love that setting. I've mentioned that quite a few times, but it's still one of my favorite bookish settings, I think, to read about. And this is about a girl named Minnie. I say girl, but she's not. She's 30 years old. It's actually starting on her 30th birthday, and it is New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. She was born at 1990, New Year's Day. She almost was the first 1990s baby, but there was another baby boy born in the hospital when she was, who beat her to the grand prize and the fame and all of that by like a minute. And Minnie claims that this other baby boy also took all of the luck, because Minnie finds that she's extremely unlucky on New Year's Day and New Year's Eve. Sorry, this is gonna be loud, so let me just do this part really quickly. So she has lived her life basically thinking she's unlucky because this guy Quinn took her luck. It's her 30th birthday, and she actually meets Quinn there. It's his birthday party that she's attending, and she gets stuck in an unlucky position, as she always does this time of year. And you know, Quinn kind of seems like he did take her luck. He seems very successful, very wealthy, and like he's really made something for himself, whereas Minnie has had a really hard life. She owns a pie company with her best friend that's kind of like Meals on Wheels, where they deliver pies to the elderly and those in need, but it's really not doing well financially. They hire like a ragtag group of people to be employed, people who just haven't found their place, find their place in this pie company. She's getting evicted from her apartment. It's just, her life is not ideal, and so she runs into Quinn and sees that he really has it all together, and that's just, you know, living up to the idea she always had of him her whole life. So it is their love story, but it really is more than just a love story, because obviously, as you can tell by the sound of that, Minnie is like at a crossroads in her life where she really feels at a loss of what to do. Not like she's going through a midlife crisis, but like maybe a quarter life crisis of sorts, where she doesn't feel like she knows where her life is headed, and she's already 30 years old. So it's her discovering herself, how to deal with the bad luck that she thinks that she's been given. And it's also about family relationships as well. She has a pretty interesting, not the best relationship with her mother, and you get to see that change and develop over the course of this book. And then you also learn about Quinn's family, because his childhood was less than ideal. Like, he actually had a really hard upbringing, and he'd been through a lot that he didn't really ever tell people about. That makes always the romance that much better when there's something substantial behind it, like a good family plot. So I think I was hovering on the 3-star range there for a while, but when I finished it, I knew that I had to give it 4 stars, because it made me feel so good. And I absolutely loved Quinn and Minnie. I don't know how I forgot her name. I loved them as characters. I thought they were just so fun together. They had really the most awkward, hilarious meet cutes and instances together, and I thought it was just delightful anytime that we got a scene with them. But that's the only holdup I had in this book, was that I feel like we just didn't get enough of them. Like, maybe if you read it, you think we get enough of them. I just wanted more, because I loved their relationship and their dynamic when they were together so much, and I just wanted that to be the whole book. But obviously it was about a lot more than just the romance, so you know, it was good. Would recommend. Something that I wish in the States, like I wish pies and meat pies were like a normal thing, like people made and people ate, because I love them. They're so good, and I feel like these should be on a menu anywhere you go, but they're not, and that makes me sad. This is a very time-consuming dish to make, because once I get all the meat seared and the vegetables and all that done, it goes in the oven for like 3.5 hours. So it's 1:30 right now, so this is for dinner, but it's a long process, and that's fine. Like, you know, I'm home this afternoon, I can sit with something in my oven for a few hours. The hands-on part isn't really that bad. It's just the slow cooking that's gonna make it really tender and delicious. I think we're right in the perfect time where you would want to read this book because it starts in New Year's, obviously, and it goes through a full year, so it ends New Year's 2021. It still kind of has the opening of like a holiday-ish kind of feeling, even though it's after Christmas and then it goes for a full year, but I feel like it's a perfect kind of cozy style book too, and just something you could just sit down. And I read this book in just like 2 days. I really didn't take any time at all to read it because it just was so readable.
Just need to grab something. Excuse me.
Great, here we are. 3.5 hours later. Hot out of the oven. I have a mess here because I made my pie crust in this area. So I'm gonna let this cool down a bit. Pie crust chill, and then we'll put it all together. The only reason this pie is not the ugliest pie in the world is because there's this cute bird sticking out of it. I'm definitely feeling like Joshua Wiseman with this B-roll, but that is it for today's video. Thank you for watching and happy reading.